Good morning and welcome to Community Connections with Children's Services Council, St. Lucie County. I am just one of your remoting hosts, Sean Boyle, and with me is?
Ashley Mock.
And
Is that a
welcome.
verb?
That's,
Remoting?
we are owning that. Copyright.
I like
Feel
it.
free to send all the royalty checks to Children's Services Council, but welcome to the half-hour weekly radio program on 104.5 The Flame every Sunday at 10 a.m. And also, because during a pandemic, we are not allowed to be in the radio studio close to each other, talking, so
Yelling.
laughing. So we have been recording the radio show via Zooms and rebroadcasting. So if you missed the live air on 104.5 The Flame every Sunday at 10 a.m., you can check out the video of the radio show. Yeah, I said video and radio show together. Sundays at 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. on our Facebook page. And if our conversation runs past the half hour that we have been allotted, we have been including that in what we call the after show.
Which is really fun, by the way. And I don't know if our listeners tuned in last week, but Marcus Dixon from Multicultural Resource Center was our guest. And if you listened to the show after the show, you learned a lot about Marcus and how he got here and what motivates him. And it was just a really cool conversation. I thought, I feel like I learned stuff about him that I haven't known for 15 years.
I know. I didn't realize that Andrea Howard recruited him. And I remember Andrea Howard. I didn't know she recruited him when he was in the military.
I know.
That's
it's
impressive.
Just a cool story. So all of those videos are still available on our YouTube channel. You can get there through our website. It's super easy. But it's kind of fun to look back at some of the guests that we've had and the conversations that we've had with them.
And so if you're listening on the radio and you want to see what these radio show faces look like, by all means, jump on YouTube or jump to our Facebook page and you can find all that information out. Now, a radio show cannot go by, or Zoom show, without me saying the 5 priorities of the Children's Services Council, because if I think I can honestly say we are laser focused on these 5 priorities. And those priorities of what we do and provide resources for are: 1, to make sure every baby's a healthy baby; 2, to stop child abuse before it happens; 3, to keep kids off the streets; 4, to keep them in school; and 5, to keep them off drugs, alcohol, and other risky behaviors by, again, offering programs and resources for all families in our community.
And since you brought that up, I just want to give a quick mention. We've been sharing some statistics from our annual report the last couple of weeks. And the one that we actually shared this past week was about those 5 priority areas and the funding that goes into them. And I think we're really proud of the fact that nearly 90% of our total funding goes to those programs directly. So anything that has to do with those programs and the support that we give to them is about 90% of our budget, which is awesome. And I know we're really proud of that. I think it's something that we talk to other CSCs about too, because that's not the case in all of the communities that have a Children's Services Council. But we're going to continue sharing statistics like that from our annual report. It is also available on the website if you want to go. There's a really cool feature on there. You can just flip through it. So there's a lot of good information in there like that, but we'll of course continue sharing it and talking about it as well.
And and the truth is, folks, we've had the annual report done for months, but we kind of, there was this thing called COVID-19 happening, and we wanted to be sensitive to its release, but also knowing full well that we weren't going to get anybody's attention on it. And I can't say that, it's any better per se, but it does feel like, we needed to release it. So we officially released it just a couple of weeks ago. So again, like Ashley said, if you want to read it, it's set up to be read in 5 minutes or less, because that's one of the changes that we've made through the years, because nobody wants to read all that text. They're more interested in graphics and statistics. So that's kind of how we refocused. So I think before we get to our guests, we have a couple of announcements that we want to make. One is, and we debuted it last week and we finalized it, and it's 100% a go. We have, along with the United Way of St. Lucie County, have established what we're calling Rising Star Saturdays. And they are 6 locations across our community where families can take kids that want to have a little fun, but quite honestly want to get kind of like an education booster shot for 1 to 2 hours on a Saturday. We have 6 locations set up to walk kids through, either if they've been selected to go through what's called the Caterpillar curriculum or credit retrieval, or quite honestly, if you need to run some errands and you want to drop them off, and they'll do some virtual learning facilitated at one of our computer labs at one of our after school programs. It is set up and it is absolutely 100% free. All that we ask is that you reserve your spot, because they are limited to the number of kids that can attend these Saturday locations. But again, 6 locations with across 4 programs: Boys and Girls Club, End It, Sword Outreach, and the Lincoln Park Community Center. And that flyer and all that information with all the locations and the times on Saturdays, and they start on July 11th through August 1st for 4 consecutive Saturdays. You don't have to attend every Saturday. You can just go to one if you want, but to incentivize going at least 2 Saturdays, any child that attends at least 2 will be in a raffle for a 50-inch TV.
Yes, it's exciting.
And I think we're trying to give them some other incentives too, like books and school supplies and whatnot.
Yeah, we think that with our partnership with United Way, the kids that come will also be able to leave with school supplies. I know the last conversation I had with United Way was that as long as they attended 2 or more, they would get a full backpack of school supplies. So that's another awesome incentive. Again, the location, the hours, the contact information, all available on the website. It's even set up so that it's a one-touch call right from the listing. So if you find one you're interested in, you can call right from the website. Perfect.
I did not know that. That's
fancy.
Pretty cool.
We're getting fancy.
Totally fancy. So another couple other announcements. I think we've been saying this for 6 months.
Yeah.
And you think about it, four times each month, at least 24 times. So let's make it the 25th. Fill out your census, people. There. Done, right? Like, do we have to elaborate?
I don't think so. And let's be real. Like, we could be done with this if everybody would fill out their census. We wouldn't have to keep talking about it, because it would just be done, and we would have 100% response in our community, and everyone would get counted, and we'd all be good. So the more that you fill it out, the sooner we can stop talking about it.
Look, we all had to be in our homes for like 6 weeks at some point. So you could have filled it out then. But let's say you put that off, right? So let's make plans this Sunday. Take 5 minutes. You know what? We're okay if you turn us off to go fill out that census information. That's how important this stuff is. So again, fill out that, do that card. Go to the website that they list. Ashley and I have both done it. We know several people that have done it. It takes 3 to 5 minutes. Just depends on how much you can remember everybody that lives in your house and their age. And if they're there, just ask them, hey, how old are you again? It's fine.
It really is super easy. So no excuses.
All right. And I think the other thing that we want to mention, and they had their first one. We should tell everybody we're pre-recording this show. Yes. And we're when we pre-record, we're bad about remembering, like Mother's Day. We had to go back and clean that up. We didn't do anything for Father's Day. Big kudos to all the fathers out there. But it's 4th of July weekend, so it did not happen this Saturday. But next Saturday, they're continuing the meet and greet for the candidates. Maya and her whole group, which I believe their group is called Women for Change. They are doing Meet the Candidates on Saturdays, and the upcoming one is July 11th at the Percy Peak Gym. From 11 to 1 p.m. is County Commission District 1 Meet the Candidates. From 2 to 4 p.m. it's District 3 and 5 Meet the Candidates. And from 5 to 7 p.m. it's the School Board Meet the Candidates. So while we've talked about,
big day.
Yeah, you need to participate by voting. That's one step. The other step is, well, 1, to register to vote, and 2, to actually go and vote. But the big step is to educate yourself so you know what you're voting for. And this is a great way to do it.
That's very cool. That's a really neat opportunity. It's been a long time since that's happened in our community in like a formal setting. So that's very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So you want to, should we let in our guest?
We should. And actually, while you do that, I'm going to just talk. We spent a lot of time last week talking about Operation Dinner Table, and the folks that we're letting in the room at the moment had a lot to do with that. And I think from the pictures that I saw and the conversations I had with you about it, Operation Dinner Table 1 and 2, both versions, were amazingly successful, and all of that was thanks in part to the hard work of the team at Boys and Girls Club. So thank you, Melanie and Jack, who are with us today. I know Will was a huge part of that as well, but what you guys were able to pull off with Operation Dinner Table was really awesome.
It was a great time. We really enjoyed ourselves, and it was amazing to see people waiting for hours to get a meal. Just shows you the need. And then the fact that everyone was rolling their windows down, just thanking you. It was just really heartfelt.
Yeah, that's amazing.
We didn't even really, that's a good segue, Ashley. I didn't even think so we didn't even really tell anybody what Operation Dinner Table was. So do you want to explain real quick? Because this is the second time that it's occurred.
So Operation Dinner Table came about from a wonderful donation that was given to Boys and Girls Club to provide meals for local families. And as Boys and Girls Clubs, we decided, how are we going to have the biggest impact? So of course, we contacted Children's Services Council to say, how can we bring about a whole group of people and really do a concerted effort and have this grassroots movement to be able to get these important food and meals to our families. And so what was really neat is that we had a majority of the agencies that Children's Services Council funds that were able to get on calls together and collaborate on what were the needs of the families, what type of food did they need they need masks, did they need arts and crafts, like what were all the needs that we could deliver to them. And so we were able to host the actual distribution twice, where we had thousands of meals. I think the first time we did 35,000 meals, and close to that the second time. So all the agencies delivered or distributed to their families, and then we hosted at 2 of our clubs. And I have to say, Sean gets the star for hauling the most interesting and heavy items into people's cars.
I'm not gonna lie. I think I don't know who I was. I don't know if it was you, Ashley. I had a great time, but the first time Sandy and I were on the milk, so we were doing 2 gallons of milk each time. And this time I'm like, you know what? I'm getting up there in age. I'm like, I'm not gonna do that this time. But this time I traded the 2 milk things out for cases of cola. Yeah. I'm like, what was I thinking?
So it was a pretty cool initiative, though, overall. And then this past Saturday, we were able to do a barbecue with all of our volunteers and agencies. So it was really neat.
And when I got there, I was like, "Where's Jack?" Because Jack's awesome. Jack's always like so upbeat and so positive. But then when I got back, when I crawled to my car and crawled to my bed, I was going through Facebook and I was like, Jack was holding down the Port St. Lucie site.
Yeah, we were over at the Camp Pruitt Club, and I had never visited that club since I'm fairly new. And when I got there, it was pretty amazing. We had rented a giant box refrigerated truck. We had, I want to say, probably 500 melons with, and it was crazy because we had the picnic table bags already pre-done, and then we had to go and do the refrigerated bags, which was the melon, cold meats, hot dogs, hamburgers. But I must tell you that it was pretty impressive that even at that location, there's a serious demand for food in our communities. And I will tell you this, it's something I've never seen before. A couple came in with some kids, had picked up a bag, almost started crying because we were giving them food. They left and they came back and they wanted to give us $3 as a donation. And I'm getting goosebumps just even talking about it. But, they're in the car, they're so thankful. And here they are, they get probably the last $3 they scraped together. And they wanted to make a donation to help us out. And we said, no way, no way. Just pay it forward, pay it forward. That's what it's all about. So amazing day, another amazing day.
And I think, and I've said this before to Will and Melanie and the Boys and Girls Club. I think what's fantastic about that Operation Dinner Table was you were given a donation, right? And you guys serve a ton of families through your after school and summer programs. And you could have simply said, you know what? We're gonna use this internally for all of our family, the people that we directly touch. But Will and Melanie and Jack, you said, you know what? No, we need to serve the whole community because all the kids are our kids, regardless of whether or not they go to the Boys and Girls Club. And so your outreach to enable not just the Boys and Girls Club, but like you said, Melanie, 10 other agencies to stay connected with their families through food was very generous of you, but also just reflective of the mission and the way, and the reason why the Boys and Girls Club is so successful is because you don't look at, the whole community's kids are your kids, and we all need to look at that way. And I think that is reflective of St. Lucie County, and I think that's what makes things like Operation Dinner Table and just the way that we work in our community, I think, a little bit different and special, in my opinion.
I agree.
Agree.
So let's. Oh, I'm sorry, Ashley, were you going to say something?
No, I was going to say that's not the only thing they do.
I know, right? Good segue. Good segue. So obviously, if you've been outside and it feels like you're walking into a can of soup, it's the summer out, and so and kids obviously need things to do. So the Boys and Girls Club, you have summer camp locations open.
Yes, we do. We have quite a few locations. We have 6 locations available, as well as our pop-up clubs. So we have lots of options for families over the summer right now.
So for families that maybe are thinking about, obviously with COVID-19, there's a little concern about obviously the pandemic and the virus and all those safety concerns. So you are running 6 clubs that are actually, they're not virtual. Kids actually go to there. So can you describe maybe the location and the safety precautions that you're taking? Because I think a lot of parents that if they have a little hesitancy really want to know what those precautions are.
Absolutely. Well, we follow all the CDC guidelines. So we've been at this for a couple of months now because we were one of the first agencies to open up. But we really took a lot of time to train our staff to do our investigating and figure out what was best for our kids and our families. So some things that we implement, just so families are aware, we do the checkpoints. So when the kids arrive, we do take everyone's temperature. Anyone that enters any of our facilities also is checked as well. We do the cleaning and the sterilization. So we have every 45 minutes, everything's getting cleaned off. We have hand washing timing for the kids, as well as hand sanitizing timing. And we also have all of our staff in masks. So there's really not an opportunity for the shred between the mask and the social distancing of the kids. We had to go back into all of our facilities, and we actually purchased tables so all the kids are 6 feet apart. Typically, Boys and Girls Club, you would see us do rotations in the past, like kids would go from room to room or outside or whatever. Right now, everybody has their stationed area. So the kids have their seat they sit in. They have their bag of supplies. That's just for them. It's not for sharing. The kids are going outside. We've read a lot about the importance of going outside, and it's safer outside. So they are still able to go outside and do those activities, but the activities are modified. So, for those basketball lovers out there, we're not playing basketball, but maybe we're doing horse. We're doing different things with bigger types of equipment that can be sterilized, and the kids are spacing out, 6 feet in a circle to be able to do an activity together. So our staff has become really innovative at the COVID games and how to keep our kids safe and having a good time. The other great thing is that we're not able to do as many field trips, but we're bringing field trips to the club. So Jack can tell you a little bit about First Tea in a minute that they're implementing at the clubs. We had the cake lady come in and do cupcake camp with our kids. They have some water days, that kind of thing. So they're still actually having a blast because we have the theme weeks, and it's like for the kids, they have no idea about all the other things that are going on in our world. That's their time to be stress-free, and yet we're still able to implement all those safety guidelines, and they go along with it.
I think that is really important. And we had the opportunity last week, now I feel like I don't know what day it is anymore, to talk with Caitlin Sparrow, one of your club directors, who received the Community Impact Award. But I can't remember if it was Sean or Teresa, somebody asked her the question, what's the hardest thing about what you're doing right now? And she said it's making sure that the kids don't, once they come into the club, we don't want them to think about what's going on outside or in the world or with coronavirus. They come here and they have fun, and that's all we want them to worry about. And so, being able to implement those things and still keep the kids engaged and having fun, I think is just, you guys have done a really good job of it. And not only have you done a good job of it, but you've offered to share that information with other clubs or other programs as they've started to open up. And I think that's been super helpful, not just to the kids in your club, but to the kids in the whole community.
And one of the things we pride ourselves on, but it was one of those learning pieces, is that you need to go back and reevaluate, like every week, keeping up with the trends that are out. How are you modifying things? How are you making sure that you have all the right equipment in place? So, it's been, you just have to stay on your toes at this time, and then you can continue to operate and continue to serve the families. But I think that's really important. You can still do it. You just have to really be informed and make right decisions for your organization.
So you have six site locations.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have openings? So if anyone's watching or listening?
We do. What I suggest, because depending on the site, there's a couple here and there. So I would suggest they visit our website, and then they can get a list of where we're open for the summer. We also post where our pop-up clubs are open, which right now pop-ups have, we have endless possibilities there because we do visit so many parks and libraries. So they have those two options to look at.
So Jack, I'm going to put you on the spot because you're new.
Go for
What's
it.
the Boys and Girls Club website address?
www.bgcofslc.org.
Well done. Well
That
done.
is an easy one. I don't know if I approve of that. That was easy.
We're going to ask him for Melanie's cell phone number here in a minute.
I don't even know my own, so don't even ask me that question.
Sean doesn't either. Don't ask him.
I don't either.
So one of the things that I know we wanted to talk about today, and one of the kind of groups that's the hardest to reach all the time, not just during the summer, is teenagers. But you guys kind of have an innovative way of getting them involved and enticing them to come to the club.
Yeah, so this summer we rolled out a program that we call Into the Future. So we're asking our teens to look forward into what the possibilities for their lives will be. And what's really cool about this program, it has so many different components that engage teenagers in different ways. So we have a partnership with St. Lucie Works. So we have quite a few kids that are on internships right now with Career Source, through Career Source and St. Lucie County. They funded that program. So the interns are working at Boys and Girls Clubs and at St. Lucie County as well. They work 4 days a week. They're getting paid, which is amazing. So for kids to get their first paycheck. And then on Fridays, they are spending all their time with Boys and Girls Club. And what we're able to implement on Fridays for that group of kids is our boot camp. And our boot camp is in partnership with the Economic Development Council and the Treasure Coast Manufacturing Association. So what we have available is the kids are going on virtual field trips. So right now, typically in the summer, our kids would be going out to local businesses and learning about business and industry, but they can't. So what we're doing is we're sending out one of our staff, and they're visiting. For example, last week they visited Nature's Grounds, which is a landscaping company, with Mike Lafreniere. So they went in and learned about all the different jobs that you can have working for Mike. They toured his facility. There was a lot of cool stuff that they learned. And then they're also doing a program that teaches them soft skills. And we are inserting a program called Tough, which is also a social emotional learning component to the teens program. So it's pretty cool. I mean, they have all of that going on. Plus we have other kids that are just coming all day to the clubs as well that are not on internships. And of course we have them engaged in arts and recreation activities. So the clubs are full with teens right now, and they're having a really good time.
That's good.
Well, and I think it's important, and I'm going to bring Jack into this conversation. So I think it's important. He thinks he's getting a free pass today, but he's not. So I think it's important that what Melanie said is that we have teens out there, and if you want to engage teens, it's totally different than engaging younger kids, right? You can't be like, "Ooh, we have, these cool Disney characters." That doesn't appeal to a teen. But for some teenagers, they're responsible for bringing in money into the household. Just being honest. I mean, my wife teaches at Centennial, and she tells me all the time that, she has kids that sleep through her class because they have to work until 1 or 2 in the morning to help, make money and provide for their family. So if you want to entice teens, you have to provide them opportunities a lot of times to make money, because that's what they have to do. And quite honestly, if we don't provide them that opportunity, they're going to find an opportunity, and it may not be always the best, most healthy way to obtain that. So I know in talking with Will, you guys have about 40 or 50 teenagers that you guys are able to provide, jobs for. And I know one of the struggles that he came across that he talked to me about was, a lot of these kids may have made some mistakes when they were younger, 14, 15, 16 years old, and that stays with them. And so when they go look for a job and they get screened because they have that offense, something that they did when they were young, and let's be honest, who didn't do something stupid when they were young? It's prohibiting them from getting employment, and it's prohibiting them from, building that self-esteem and those skills for the future. But Jack, you've been working, and we haven't really talked about what your role is at Boys and Girls Club, but you've been working in the community to make sure that, one, that you're getting donations into the Boys and Girls Club, so the cost to go to camp is nominal for families, but you've also been working to find employers and donors to make sure that we're able to serve even more teens.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sean, the one thing that I'm finding out, we have a young man who's come to us and is working in the RD operations with us. And I just want to share a little bit about that unique young man. He's a great kid, but it's amazing how the little simple things like, let's say, showing up on time and checking in. He's now, we're in our second week of working with him now. And little things like, I made it very clear to him that checking in, being responsible, being accountable is part of being an adult and going out into the workforce. And he's now texting me every single morning at 7:15 a.m. and saying, okay, Mr. Jack, where am I going today? What am I doing today? And then I always text him at the end of the day asking, have you gotten your timesheet filled out correctly? Has it been signed? Are you checking in? So in 2 weeks, he's gone from really deer in the headlights to really not understanding what's going on to really now being accountable to me every day and accountable to himself. Because I said to him that the reality is that these are the things you have to do to go out and go to work. Your boss wants you to arrive on time. They want you to do what you're asked to do it in a timely fashion. So I must say he's come a long way in just 2 weeks, but these are the kind of things we're working on with these kids and these teens. And I will tell you that, yes, I was a knucklehead at 16 years old and was quite a bit during those teen years, if you will. But there was always somebody that we had as a mentor in our lives. And I think that's what these kids are looking for. I think they're looking for something. They don't know how to ask for that. I don't think they know that's what they need. But when they find it, you can see the light kind of gets turned on. And that's really what I'm enjoying working with this young man and the other teens. And I must say, going back to Operation Dinner Table / Picnic Table edition, that Melanie and crew had a ton of these teens come out. You saw them, Sean, on Saturday. They came out, and what kid is going to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning to go give food on a Saturday morning?
Right.
And really make an effort and be excited about doing that. And that was really cool to see on Saturday. So those are the things that I'm really enjoying seeing and working with.
The station that I worked at, and again, next time I'm going to pick better, but the station that I worked at, I was with a couple of teenagers, and they were fantastic. I had to take a couple of breaks. They kept going, but
Yeah.
and I met several teenagers there that told me that they were employed by the Boys and Girls Club. I took my picture. Commissioner Mitchell was there, and one of the young men that introduced himself as working for the Boys and Girls Club, his name was Sean too. So I'm like, oh, all three Seans have to get a picture together. So I put that on my Facebook page.
I saw that.
So I know we don't have a whole lot of time left on the radio show, but can you guys share your website, your phone number again? So if anybody who's listening is interested in getting their child or grandchild involved in any of the programs that you have, just so they know how to get in touch with you to get more information.
Well, Melanie, I'll jump on that. So Sean, let's review www.bdcofslc.org. And look at the tabs at the top of the pages. You can look for events and opportunities and club locations there. Don't forget to look at the donation page for sure. And the main number is 772-460-9918. And my extension is 109. And we would look forward to anybody that wants to call about information or donations. Thank you.
That was pretty impressive until you had to look at your phone to check your own extension.
Well, I'm looking at it right now, and I must tell you that my phone, we had a new phone system put in, and when they switched my extension over, I was getting every single call to the Boys and Girls Club.
Oh,
So,
by design.
yeah, so Melanie, thank God Melanie got on that and got us fixed.
That's part of your new employee hazing. That's not an accident. That happens to every new employee.
Yeah.
All right, so we're out of time. We're going to continue this conversation. If you're listening on the radio program, jump to our Facebook page at 11. We're going to rebroadcast this video, and then we're going to talk just a little bit after show conversation about what are some of the needs for the Boys and Girls Club. So if you want to help, whether it be money, time, effort, whatever it may be, we're going to have that discussion on the after show. Thank you guys for coming on. If you are interested in a summer program, or really quite honestly, if you want to start preparing for even when school starts an after school program, there's no better place to go than the Boys and Girls Club. By all means, check out their information. And remember, it's our children, our community, our future. Now more than ever, pandemic and everything, we're all in this together. We'll see you next time. So welcome to the after show. We lost Jack in the after show because, you know, people can't just hang out and talk with us all the time nonstop, but we're fortunate in that Melanie is still with us. So Melanie, we teased in the after show that we're going to talk about ways that people could support the Boys and Girls Club. And one of those ways is you have an event coming up.
Yes, we have our chili cook-off coming up. Originally, it was slated for July 11th as an in-person event, but we have just had to make the decision to move that into a virtual event. So you'll have to stay tuned. It's going to be a little bit of a surprise, and I'll ask everybody to go on our social media to see what the release date is going to be, as you are invited to our watch party, because it's all going to be chili from your couch. You can just sit down in the comfort of your own home. We're going to get you some really fun things to be able to cook your own chili at home and enjoy yourself and learn about Boys and Girls Club, what our mission is, and see why our teams are excited about supporting our kids, our sponsors are excited, and what we provide with the funds that we're given as far as supporting camp and our before and after school programs as well.
Oh, very nice.
Cool.
So wait a minute, I just want to check. So are you going to trick me into making my own chili? Is that what's going to happen?
It could be, yes, yes.
I don't know if Sean's down for that.
Yeah, I'll sit on my couch and eat chips while everybody else makes chili.
No one knows. You could just have a mug and be like,
Exactly.
Could be
I like
chocolate cake. Don't tell anybody.
I love the chili cook-off. I usually get to judge the chili. So I can't wait for the virtual one, but even more so, even when we can get back into in person as well.
Yeah, we've just keeping up with the trends in the community and trying to listen to what our supporters want as well to keep everybody safe. So we feel like this is a new approach for us, but we're actually really excited about it. This is new. You know, we're out filming. We will engage the two of you. I can ask you both if you want to be a part of our little filming crew that's been going around.
Sure.
John, you can talk about your experience as a judge and maybe one of your favorite chilies or least favorite chilies from the past to give some people some pointers.
Sure, Sure, that sounds like fun. So, okay, so everyone needs to go to your social media page, obviously Facebook, look up Boys and Girls Club St. Lucie County to learn all about the chili cook-off, and that's just right around the corner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. So the other thing that I think we wanted to talk about, Ashley, is, you know, the Boys and Girls Club. What I find one of the I was gonna say, one of the things that I'm always impressed with the Boys and Girls Club is that, you know, typically for an after school program, you know, you're going to pay $80, $90 a week, depending on the age of the child. But the Boys and Girls Club is always good about working with families to minimize that impact, that financial obstacle. And right now, I believe your camps it's $25 a week.
Mm-hmm. They're $25 a week, and our teenagers are zero costs at all. So we try to remove all barriers so that children can come, and we do have scholarships available for anyone that can't afford the $25.
And that's made possible. Obviously, we partner with you, the Children's Services Council, but it's also made possible because of the generosity of the community. And there's so many different ways to be part of the Boys and Girls Club and to give, whatever you want to do. So can you maybe, for those people that have stayed on for the after show and they want to get involved and they want to make a difference, can you kind of maybe go through some options of what you're looking for?
Absolutely. So we do have, obviously, donations are amazing for us. We do have something set up on our website right now, or you can go on our social media to give, and you have options. So you can sponsor a child for the whole summer to attend camp. You can sponsor a family to have meals, which is something that we talked about earlier in the show. You can sponsor a child to have very specific activities, whether it's STEM. So there's a lot there that we offer on the website. You can mail in checks as well, or just give us a ring, 460-9918. But another great need of ours is people's talent. So if they want to volunteer, we have a location on our website to sign up. We still have volunteers coming in the clubs to help it with the kids. We have events on the weekends as well that they can help with. So we just ask that we'll supply you with all the things so that you can be safe with our kids. But mentors, we talked about people helping the kids. Right now, because of COVID, during the school year, there was the COVID slide. Now they're in the summer slide. So I think one of the important components is volunteering and coming in, that you can help just that little extra support with the academics over the summer, and really just get the kids excited about it, because they did a lot of virtual learning and this is their break time, but how we make learning fun and they don't even realize they're doing it. So that's an opportunity as well. So we would love to have more volunteers. And I know that we are going to be opening on Saturdays for 4 weeks. And we would love to have additional volunteers on those days as well to help kids that are in the Caterpillar camp.
Yeah, we talked about that, Ashley and I, before we got to you all, about the Rising Star Saturdays. And we mentioned 6 locations, and we mentioned all the partners, and the Boys and Girls Club is 3 of the 6 locations.
Yeah.
So yeah. So something that Jack brought up about the youth employment, because I had conversations with Crystal Morris, who's been a guest on our show, about, you know, this is a big issue, particularly for young Black men, about finding employment, particularly if they made some mistakes. So is there opportunities? Let's say I own a business and, you know, I'm interested in hiring maybe some of the kids that are participating in the Boys and Girls Club. Are those type of options available?
Absolutely. So right now, there's 2 things. So first of all, the programming that we are doing right now, the Into the Future, we're developing that pipeline. We're taking the kids where they're at right now, figuring out what are those resources they need, what are the areas that we can help to develop them to get even further, so that they're ready to go work in this community. So not every child's going to end up working for Boys and Girls Club. We want them to go and venture out into areas that they love. But also we have great partners, restaurant industry. We had somebody recently that is going to teach the kids and takes them on to do things at Firestone. So any type of business and industry that's willing to work with some kids that are, you know, 18 and a little bit younger too, we are open to those opportunities to share with our kids. We've been able to transport them in some situations. So we would love to hear from the community on, hey, I'm willing to work with the teen. And what I really love about that, and that's part of what we're doing with the Economic Development Council, when you have local business and industry interact with the teens, they may have a preconception of, well, these teens are, you know, they're going to do what they want, and maybe they're not going to show, and they may not show up on time, and they may not have all of these traits that I'm looking for. But once they get to know them and they start seeing that there's so much potential in there, and that as a business owner and somebody working in a local business, you can invest your time in these kids too, and you're the one that can set the path for them and make those changes and help them to learn the way the business works here. So I think that it's pretty cool to be the connector, and that's what Boys and Girls Club does. Like, how can we introduce these 2 different generations together in a lot of cases and get people to realize the value of our teens and what they have to offer.
Yeah, and
That's a good point.
I think what Jack said too, you know, you know, being employment's good, but just giving them that mentor, because, you know, like Jack said, you know, he had to remind them, hey, you got to show up on time. Did you do this? And, you know, we assume that kids know that, but they don't until they've been taught that. And what better way to impact a young man or woman's life by being that mentor and providing them that guidance. So I think that's exciting. And I know from conversations with Will, he's brought this up multiple times. So I know it's heavy on his mind, and the goal is just as much as possible to find employment for these kids, because it keeps them active, it gets money in their pocket, and it teaches them skills and connects them with a mentor. It's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
And kids are going to make mistakes, and I think the more that we as a community can help them through that, so they can see that they still have potential and that they still have that worth. And it's like you said, Sean, I did have a 15-year-old come up to me a couple years ago, and I'll never forget. I wanted to take him to a location to learn about a certain industry, and he's like, Miss Melanie, I made a mistake, so I'm never going to be able to do that. And I thought to myself, you're 15 years old and you think it's over for you, and how sad is that? And it wasn't. And so we had to work on those things and find the right match for him and figure out his road to success. But there's options for these kids, and they have to realize that we're here for them to make that happen.
Yeah. Well, again, let's I want to end on that, because I think that's a positive note, and I always like ending on charges, if you will, to get people to get engaged. So real quick, if an employer, a businessman, somebody that wants to be a mentor, or quite honestly help employ some kids, the best way to get a hold of the Boys and Girls Club, obviously the website bgcofstlucie.org.
bgcofslc.org.
I was so
And
close.
you know what's even funnier, Sean, you know, we have our website, we have our phone number, but I feel like the best way that people actually get a hold of us, they like message or write something on Facebook, and it's like instant, like you get your instant answer. So if you are on social media, shoot us a message, write a comment somewhere, and we'll get right in touch with you.
We
All
say
right.
the same thing.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. We have these phones and they never ring, but
No.
man, do people
Yeah.
message you on Facebook?
They do.
Well, thanks, Melanie, for coming on. It's great. And again, I just can't say enough of the Boys and Girls Club effort to make sure that it's all of our kids versus just our kids, if you will. And I to me, that speaks volumes to the integrity of the organization, and just big kudos to you and your entire team.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me today.
You're welcome. Thanks, everybody, for sticking with us. And we'll see you next time. Hope you're having a great 4th of July weekend.